Hello friends, I have created one more virtual PC in my computer, so you can create a number of virtual PC if you have a more hard disk space. So, but it depends on RAM, that how many simultaneous operating systems that you can run. It depends on how much RAM you have. So I'll start the second PC which I have created, uh, the Mac PC2. So before that, we need to load the ISO image. See, even if we don't have a virtual drive in our computer, we can directly load the ISO image here. We can go and select. I'll add and browse through my documents. I have a Fedora ISO image. I'll open the ISO image and select Fedora and say select. So now the Fedora ISO is selected. You can directly select this and say OK. So we'll see the how the boot configuration. So we'll make the boot configuration. I don't need a floppy drive, so I'll remove it. Okay, now I removed and brought the floppy at the bottom. So now I'll say OK. So now it starts from booting from CD-ROM and then hard disk. So we will start this machine. This is start. So later I'll show you we can install both Fedora. You can start both Fedora and Ubuntu on the same machine if you have a pretty good RAM on a computer. So I'll change the RAM setting for the other computer. This is the other computer. System base memory. I'll reduce it to a little. I'll do it 512. I don't know if this gives some error. We'll just see. So the other machine I kept it to 512 MB right now. So we'll start the machine later. So currently we are looking for a new installation of Fedora. So you can see this is the first screen which appears when we boot from Fedora CD. So initially Fedora CDs were not coming with the live CD options. Now we have it with a live CD. So this is a live CD. You can work on it. I'll go to full screen. I'll say enter full screen. So now you can work on Fedora. We have not yet installed the Fedora. So you can see all the options here. Applications, computer, recently used, shutdown. So we have installed 2 hard drives. So we have not installed it. It's a live CD. It works completely in RAM. So now we start the installation. I'll say. So in this video, I have not created a machine with more than one partitions. I have just only one partition for this machine. So I have used a new hard disk, entirely new. Actually, the new hard disk is a file for a virtual machine. I'll show it to you in my computer. C drive, insert setting Mac. You can see the virtual box. Your hard disk. So I've created a Mac PC2 hard disk. It's a 33 KB file. Once we install the Fedora completely, it will increase in size. So we are installing Fedora 14. So we say next. So I'll go to the full screen mode because I'm not able to see it clearly. I'll go to full screen mode. So now I'll say next. US English, yeah, keyboard layout, and then what type of devices will your installation involve? Says we select basic storage devices and say next. So examining storage devices. So it says some error, reinitializing will cause data to be lost. Don't worry about this. Just say reinitialize all. So this error is found when you use it on a virtual box. So you have to provide a host name and local domain names. Currently, I'll not change this host name. Let it be as a local host. I'll say next. So we need to select the time zone, Kolkata, Asia, and then I'll say next. So we need to provide a root password here. So root user is the super user of Linux machine. So here we have a partitions. It says use all space. So in this hard disk I have no partitions for Windows, no partition for Linux. Again, if you want to make some partition manually, you can go to create custom layout and say next. So it's 8 GB I've allocated when I created this machine. So I can make a partitions disk, create partition, and say a standard partition, and say create, and go allocate the mount point as, if I want, I can have a /boot, and I can provide a 200 MB of space for /boot, and say OK, and force the partition to be primary. I can force it as a primary, and I can select this again, the second partition, and say create, and this time I can say standard partition, create. I'll mount this as a / okay, we can have a / directory of size, I'll say for example 6000. So I'm not going to use this partition, I'm just showing you how to create partitions. You can force this partition to be primary and say OK. Okay, the mount point is in use, check use another. Okay, we select ext3. Okay, cancel. We are not supposed to do this. We'll edit this and we'll make the partition as 200 MB is not enough for / partition, so we'll have a boot partition here. Okay, so now we'll select for / partition, create, say create standard partition for / and we'll say around 6000. So I'm not sure for exact spaces or numbers. I'll say 6000 and say OK. So next I'll say there's a free memory, so you can select it for a swap memory here. So you can also mount your home partition or home directory on a different partition. So this time I'm using it as a file system type of swap. So you cannot mount a swap partition here. So what's the space here? 1991. So we say 1991. I'll say OK. Let's see. Okay, now you can see we've created the 3 different partitions. /boot is mounted in a different partition, / is mounted on a different partition, and the SDA we cannot mount the swap partition. We can just create. I'll say next. So we'll install this. We can use this for installation. I'll say next. Says partition MS-DOS. The following pre-existing will have been selected and it will be deleted, so no problem. It says format. So write changes to disk. So I'm showing a simple way of installing. So we're not getting into the core experimentation of doing LVM, logical volume management, all those things, and creating a RAID setup. We're not going to use the RAID setup. So you can use install bootloader on device. So we can select install bootloader, so it will install a grub bootloader. You can use boot password. It's very important. If you don't use a boot password, even the root password can be changed. So I'll select a root password. I created a boot password. So you can see if you have more than one operating system, it will be listed here. So you can also select which will be the default operating system when it boots, whether the Windows should come up first automatically, or Fedora should come, or Ubuntu should come. You can select. I'll say next. So it start installing. It first checks the live image. It's copying the live image to hard drive. So this is a simple 600 MB or 700 MB CD or an ISO which I've downloaded, but initially we were getting Fedora of size of 2.3 GB, in which we could have installed a lot of softwares including Eclipse, Java, support for dial-up networking, MySQL server, web server, HTTP server. So you can also download the DVD from the website, in which you have all the server related softwares. But this software is pretty good for a desktop edition. So we can install the servers later whenever we want. So this is a little different. It's copying the live image to the hard drive. So it's similar to probably a ghost image, installing a ghost image on a machine, a cloning disk. I'm not sure. I'm seeing this for the first time because whenever I was installing software in the previous editions of Fedora, so it was installing software one by one. Now it's cloning the complete image to the hard drive. So performing post installation file system changes. This may take several minutes. Okay, actually it will be loading the grub loader. It'll load the grub loader after this post installation, so that if you have more than one operating system, you'll get a grub menu at the start of operating system. So previous editions of Fedora would take a lot of time to install all the softwares, but here it's like copying a live image, or cloning the image to the hard drive. I think it's pretty much faster than previous versions for installing a Fedora. I think the best way to use or try out any operating system is VirtualBox, or maybe any other virtualization software like VMware, Zen. A lot of virtualization software are there. It says congratulations, your Fedora installation consists pretty fast. I say close. So now it's using a live CD. Actually it has installed, but we are still using a live CD. What we can do is we can shut down the machine. I'll remove the CD from the virtual machines. I'll turn off the computer. So once the computer is switched off, we can remove the ISO image from the VirtualBox. So you can see the size of the hard disk file right now. So initially it was 33 KB. It's dynamically expanded to 2.2 GB. So you can still install a lot of softwares in this. It's maximum of 6 GB we have right now for the storage, because a swap space is around 1 GB. We have around 6 GB for installation of other softwares. I'll start this machine. So we'll see. We'll try to start the other machine simultaneously. We'll start. I don't know if this is possible because I've changed our RAM to 512. So we'll see start. So now actually 3 systems are working. Which are the 3 systems? One system is Mac PC2. The first one is Mac Virtual Machine, and the third one, not the third one, like the first one is Windows XP, which is the host operating system. One host operating system, two guest operating system working simultaneously. So Fedora booted properly, and there's some issue with the Ubuntu. And insert a control alt delete here. So to insert a control alt delete, you need to use this host delete key. So once we insert a control alt delete to the machine, it restarts. So we'll try to boot Ubuntu together. So you need to have a pretty good RAM to start both virtual machines together, because the RAM now is occupied with programs of Windows XP and the programs of Fedora virtual machine, and it's now also trying to load the files of Mac virtual computer PC, the third PC. Okay, we can boot Ubuntu simultaneously. You can see 3 operating system running. You can run more operating system. You have a pretty good RAM in your computer. So I can log in. So install hard disk. I think it's we did not remove the virtual ISO image. So what I'll do is restart this machine again. I'll go to full screen mode. I'll restart the machine. I'll shut down the machine. So we need to remove that live CD if you want to boot from hard disk. I've done a lot of networking between these virtual machines, so talking from one machine to other. So I'm a CCNA certified and CCNP certified, so I also like to do networking, a little bit of networking always from one machine to other machine. I worked on Linux servers, so I want to install a server on one machine, one virtual PC, and I want to try it on a different virtual PC. I want to browse through the different virtual PC. I've done a lot of playing with this virtual box. So we will remove this storage. Fedora will remove this ISO image. I'll say OK, and then we will start the Fedora. So it's already running. You see the Mac virtual PC is already running. So now we have Mac virtual PC here, which has Ubuntu. You can also shut down the system and start Windows 7 here, and try Windows XP and Windows 7 together if you want. Now I'm starting Fedora. So now it's booting from the hard disk. So we need to install VirtualBox additions for even Fedora. So you need to use the right control key to make the mouse come out of the virtual machine. You can switch bin, so you can minimize all the windows and start working on your Windows XP machine. If you have some other work, you can do again, come back to Mac PC. So you see, this is the welcome screen of Fedora. So I'll make it full screen. Okay, now we'll say forward. So license information you need to read and say forward, and you need to create a new user here. I'll create user Mac. Okay, I'll use small letter Mac. I'll say Mac computer education. Okay, I'll say password So I'll confirm the password. I'm not using network login right now. All these things are a little advanced stuff. So we'll get with essentials. Let's click forward and say finish. So do not send. You can send the profile to. You can submit to the Fedora project whatever the hardware profile you have. So it will help them to provide more support for the new hardware. So I'm not sending this profile right now. It says do not send. So this is the login screen of Fedora. I can log in as Mac, password, and press enter. So Fedora is also open source community based operating system. You get community support to do something on Fedora. You need help, you have forums for Fedora. So this desktop environment is the K desktop environment. This will be looking similar to your Windows. There will be a taskbar at the bottom, and you have a start menu. Here it's called Kickoff Application Launcher. Okay. So you have a Kickoff Application Launcher. If you want a web browser, you can say web. So you get web behavior, web browser. Conqueror is one more web browser you have. Let's see if we have a Firefox or not. We don't have a Firefox in this. Okay. So you can install Mozilla Firefox later. Conqueror. So Conqueror is one of the web browser provided in the K desktop environment. So this is a browser you can use, and there are pretty cool applications in Fedora. Something called kjots. I like it very much. Console. We go run command, and we type kjots and press enter. It's a notes taker. So you can create a book 1. You can see create book 1, and you can have pages page 1 and type something in the page and create one more book. You can say right click a new page. You can create one more page here and give a title. If you want to give a title to this, you can do that when you create a new page. Let's say new page and give chapter 3. So and you can start writing on chapter 3, and you can switch between the pages. It's a book. You can have multiple books here. You can create new book. You can say book 2, and you can create pages under chapter 1. Okay, you can create books, many books here. So again, you can say right click. You can save it as save this book. Okay, I don't find this option of saving the book here. Okay, we can export it as a book. You can export it as a book file. Okay, kjots books, or you can also export it as a HTML file. Okay, this is also an HTML. You can see here. You click here. I'll maximize this. Okay, this book 1, book 2. You have a lot of pages in book 1, book 2, book 3. You can go here and click on page 1 and select the page chapter 3. This way we can use this as a book. Very cool application. And we have a something called clipper. I'll say run command. I'll say clipper. I don't know if the clipper is available or not. So you can see the volume. So this is Ethernet connections. So you have printer, device notifier, search, surveys. So a lot of options are there. So Fedora is you get a feel of working with Windows when you have a K desktop environment. You can see KDE desktop. So whenever you work with the K desktop environment, you will get the same feel how you are working with a Windows machine. So if I say I go switch between the machine PCs, you can see I use. Okay, it says 886. So if you leave it for a longer time, it will be locking the machine. So you can change the options all there. So you can work on Ubuntu, you can work on Fedora, you can work on Windows XP simultaneously. I think this is very cool feature to make some experimentation of doing some networking between the PCs. Friends, in this video we learned how to install Fedora on a VirtualBox. You can install Fedora, Linux and Windows any other operating or BSD operating system. So I've never tried using a BSD operating system till now. You can also install BSD operating system, everything on a single VirtualBox or a normal machine. You can have you can make many partitions. You can use Ubuntu CD to make partitions. Or during the installation it will give you an option to create partitions. You can create 10 partitions and then install Windows XP and then start installing all the other operating system. And then I would suggest you to install Ubuntu at the last, because it installs a very good bootloader with all the operating system which are already installed in the machine. Friends, in this video we learned how to install Fedora and we saw how to start simultaneously 2 machines on the same computer. So currently we have 3 operating systems running. That's the Windows XP, the host operating system, and 2 guest operating systems. That's the Fedora and Ubuntu. So we'll learn more in the upcoming videos. Thank you for watching this video.